Welcome to Stay Sparked. On this show, we explore how to stay inspired in the modern world through the most profound lessons from Burning Man, relationships, entrepreneurship, psychedelics, spirituality, travel, and more.
On this episode, we talk about attitudes around money and what are the old patterns that may have sent us in the wrong direction and how do we make it right?
We talk about how our belief systems from a young childhood impact our current lifestyle and how do we shift those programs.
Also, what do we do when we find ourselves on the hamster wheel of life, like we're working to make money, making money to work? How do we get off that and get back on track to tracing our dreams?
Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Stay Sparked. We are three longtime friends who have been inspiring and sparking each other's inspiration for over a decade, and we are here to share these conversations aimed to light you up. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been enjoying these episodes and conversations, we so appreciate you helping us spread the sparks by taking just a moment and leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I'm Betsy.
I'm Halcyon.
And I am Janus.
I am the founder and creator of the Power Affirmation Project, helping inspire mindset tools for inner transformation and teaching people how to become their own best friend.
I am a gratitude evangelist, leading gratitude circles online 3 times a day.
And I am the founder and CEO of NuWorld Nutritionals, a nutritional supplement company with products designed to help elevate your state of mind.
We'd love to give a little shout out to one of our listeners today. Thank you, Sean, aka Brightside, for leaving us a review. I'm so grateful to know that our podcast has been inspiring you. He says, this podcast offers a wonderful blend of insightful discussions and practical tips on how to lead a more balanced and fulfilling life. Awesome, Sean. Sending much love to you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. And on that note of gratitude, we'd love to start off with our personal gratitudes. So how about you, Halcyon? What are you grateful for today?
Today I'm feeling grateful for my garden. It is small, but it is mighty. I harvested a whole bunch of tomatoes and had a caprese salad with my own tomatoes and just stuffed myself. And it was just this glorious reminder of, where food comes from, where energy comes from. I just love that kind of like knowing that the sun has been feeding energy to these plants and then I get to take that energy into my body. And so just grateful for being a part of that gardening cycle and my very productive tomatoes.
Nice. Our garden equally. The tomatoes are popping right now, and there's really nothing like eating something that you have grown. It just the way that nurtures is like nothing else. So I appreciate that as well. So my gratitude is getting back into exercising, working out. Made it to the gym this morning already, and that was great. And first time in a couple of weeks, just because I've been so busy with life, life gets in the way sometimes. But I was feeling good over those 2 weeks. But even like once I got moving in the gym this morning, I was like, yes, I was missing this. So yeah, it feels good to move the body around. So grateful for gratitude and grateful for gratitude. I have gratitude for exercise. I have gratitude for moving my body around.
Yes, get those endorphins going, oxytocin flowing.
Yeah.
I will also share my gratitude. You sparked me, Halcyon. Our garden is going off right now too. And I'll share specifically what I'm most grateful for is the monarchs coming. They were a little late this year, but we have tons of milkweed in our garden. And I was traveling for a couple weeks. I came back and there was like 15 big fat caterpillars on the milkweed, and now we have a few chrysalis and we've got butterflies flying all around the garden, and it's just brings so much joy. I love watching the process of the monarchs. So that is my big gratitude today.
Nice.
And it feels like abundance, right? Abundance is here. We're in the summertime. It's the abundance of tomatoes, abundance of monarchs, right? There's just this lushness of this time. And that is actually the perfect segue into our conversation today. So we are going to talk about money. prosperity, abundance, and how it relates to our lives. And in this conversation, we decided to start off by going back a little into our own personal journeys with money and where we have been sort of conditioned or programmed, because we all, learn about money through our parents and through different ways. And so I'd love to just start us off with a question. So, are you guys aware of belief systems that you were taught when you were young about money, and how has that really impacted your life?
Yeah, I do. And I'll try to give the Cliff Notes version of this, but it definitely impacted my belief system for a long time. And I didn't unpack it until, honestly, in my mid 30s. But I remember as a 4-year-old going to my cousin's house with the family. And right before we left to come home, I had 2 cousins. And one of the cousins, he gave me a handful of coins, of change that probably totaled about a couple dollars maybe, and told me that this is a secret. Don't tell anybody. And so I was like, oh, okay. And he's like older, he's like 10. So I put it in my pocket, and I get home, and I get home, and I'm like, I get this jingling like coins in my pocket. My parents are like, what is in your pocket? And I'm like, nothing. It's a secret. I can't tell you. And so like, oh, open up. So I hand it over, and they're like, where did you get this? I'm like, cousin gave it to me. And so they call him up, and they were like, did you give this money to him? And because his sister was missing money now. Like she's missing a bunch of coins on her desk. Did you give this to him? No, I didn't give him anything. I don't know. So now I'm a thief and a liar about this. And then I'm like 4 years old. I have no idea what money is about. So this instilled in me that if I have money, I need to get rid of it as fast as possible, or I'm going to get in trouble.
Whoa.
And so this manifested. So whenever I would make money, I had to spend it. I had to get rid of it somehow. I couldn't save it. I couldn't put it someplace. I couldn't hold on to it for very long, because I was going to get in trouble if I didn't get rid of it soon. I didn't unpack that whole piece until like my mid 30s, and finally was like, oh my God, that's why I can't save any money. Oh my God. And there's times where I made like significant amounts of money, and I should have had it. It should have reflected in my bank account a lot more than it did. And so finally I was like, wow, okay, I need to work that piece so that I can start to actually hold on to some of this abundance that is, coming my way. So, yeah, that was an early,
Oh man,
kind of a programming pattern that,
Wild.
yeah, that was.
It's amazing that you could see
wild.
that too, that you could go back into your journey, because did it take you a long time to realize that that one particular moment on your timeline impacted you?
No, that's what ayahuasca does for you. Sometimes it just hits you like a wet fish across the face, being like, this is why. Oh, it's like, oh, and then you see it all at once, and like, oh my God, yeah.
Oh,
So
there it is. Wow.
yeah,
So powerful.
Wow. Well, I was never a part of a child crime ring, but I did have an experience where I remember being in Toys R Us and wanting to get the Death Star Star Wars action figure set, and my mom explaining to me how long it would take with my allowance. And it was just so frustrating to me that I couldn't have this thing that I wanted. But I'm actually really grateful in some ways for this idea, like, okay, if you want something, you need to save to get it. But so I've always been really hesitant to spend money I don't have, because I need to and I've never been able to buy things on credit. Like I've never bought a new car. I've never, I've had to train myself now to fight against the need to save, because I recognize now as an adult that there are times when you need to invest in yourself, or you need to spend money that is investment in yourself in one way or the other. And that has been hard for me because of childhood issues of scarcity and, save for a rainy day kind of feelings.
Yeah, it's so interesting in this reflection around, what was my relationship with money, and kind of what you're speaking to is like I don't really remember having a conversation with my parents about money. There sure as hell were not any classes about money, growing up, whether that's even, 7 to 10 to 15 to 18 through high school, no classes. And so yeah, the teachings around money were never really present, so I just got to witness how money was used in my family. And so my parents were divorced, and so they had very different relationships with money, and I just basically watched what they were doing, right? That's what kids do, right? We're like sponges, and we just check everything out and learn by what's being role modeled to us. And so I got to see some patterns that my mom was exhibiting that I took on for quite some time, and over many years now, after I've been doing some growth work, could see the pattern. But she really modeled to me, work hard to make just enough. She was a single mom of three of us, and there wasn't a whole lot of support. And so she just worked her little butt off to be able to make ends meet. And she did great. She always had just enough, but very rarely did she have an overflow. And so I was really in that experience for quite some time, always just piecemealing together all of my finances to make my rent, to have just enough, those moments where it's like, oh gosh, my rent is coming. I hope I can make it. And then sure enough, then like right at the last minute, then I would get a check or a client or whatever. And I got to see, wow, my mom, she did that for a long time. Always just had just enough. She never went under zero, but she was really worked her little booty off to get to a place of just getting by. And so it was like that work hard to have just enough was that the programming or the patterning, that I picked up. That was part of it. And then also another piece that my dad gave me, which I've been getting to work through too, is that since he was the weekend dad, bless him, and his love was coming through money. And so he kind of would model, if I give my daughters money, then they'll know that I love them, or exuberant displays of things. He would take us to like fancy places to go shopping and whatnot, and he would get, instead of giving me just a couple dollars for some spending money, he would give me like a 20. And it was like, whoa, a 20, as a kid, that's a lot of money. And so it was like, okay, here's some money. This means love, right? And so I have been getting to unwind that programming, especially in my interpersonal relationships with men. And it's been very insightful to go back and look at where that comes from and shift it.
Nice. So what are the benefits of shifting that? I think are immediately obvious, but also a little bit more subtle as well. Like, for you, Betsy, I would imagine, kind of unwinding that relationship with money based from a male figure in your life. That's very easily, our relationships with our parents are our relationships with, other adults in the as adults. So having that, being a woman who's being showered with gifts or money, and then kind of equal, oh, this person loves me because that's what this means, and then having to kind of unpack that, unwind that, and kind of repattern that for yourself. How do you go about that, or how did you go about that? Or was that a quick process? Is that an ongoing process for you? I know
It's been a very long process. I mean, the awareness is a really big part of it, because I was in a relationship where that was happening, where this man was just showering me, and it was so fun and so exuberant and wonderful, and all of this, gifts and money and displays of affection and all of that. I was like, wow, this is amazing. He loves me. And then we started getting deeper, and there was something underneath it for him. So he actually had his own process around like his relationship with money and the feminine. We were playing off of each other's kind of programming. And so thankfully, we both were willing to do some counseling and some deeper therapies, and not knowing fully that as we were going into the therapies that would be the piece that revealed itself. But we were able to see how we were exhibiting these patterns. And so once we started to see it, especially for me, once I started to see that he was playing the perfect role to show me what my relationship to the masculine and money was really very insightful. And also coming back to what you shared around your ayahuasca, thankfully, I also had an opportunity to really go deeper into it in my own journey with the plant medicine and meditation, and really uncovering some of the deeper layers of it. And then, sure enough, as I started to unwind some of it, I could see it more clearly, even beyond my own father, but into the lineage started to like show me so much more. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a process. There's been certain moments where I have like huge breakthroughs and revelations, and then certain moments where it's just subtle, small breakthroughs along the way. And one of the things that has been very helpful is the integration, because once we start to see the program in there, it's one thing to be able to see it, but it's another to shift it. Right.
Sure.
And so like the affirmation work, for example, the journaling work, the just the repatterning, right? The subconscious shifting. And so it's like money does not equal love. Like I could see, oh, money equals love was the belief that I held, you know, and so to be able to go, okay, no, love is love. Love comes in many forms, and finding different ways to be able to speak to myself about it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
think you're so right about the awareness of it is step one, and the journey of healing those or repatterning can be indefinite. I mean, I know that, I fell into a real, money is evil attitude when I was like in college, and then when I got into the Burning Man community and feeling like gifting, and that charging for things and asking for money was a way to make things dirty and make things less pure. And there was a period of time when I was involved with a project that I really believed in. It was a webcam community. I thought it was going to change the world. It's where the Hug Nation that I still do was born, in this webcam community, and we needed funding, and I was doing all sorts of things. Like I lived in a webcam house and let people watch me shower so that I could get reduced rent, so that I could take less of a salary, so I could make this project work. But all the while I had this attitude that money is evil, and that I was really energetically repelling any desire, any money, because people who get that money are part of the problem. And it wasn't until that project failed and I had a new job, and that new boss kind of very patiently listened to my idealism about capitalism, and then explained to me, well, can I propose that capitalism is simply a communication system? It's a way that the system can communicate what we want more of. If there is a organic fruit stand and it's packed, then the system knows we should have more organic fruit stands. And so it's simply a communication tool. So if you are providing something of value and people are going to give you money for it, you're telling the world more of this, more of this, more of this. And it is this really beautiful system of communication. Now that's outside of the corruption of our system, but the awareness of the possibility of money being a communication system and being an energetic flow totally was like this aha moment. And then it's 30 years later, I'm still trying to integrate all that, because those are deep things in me, super deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's interesting, having to unpack those beliefs, and then like when you get that download, like, okay, in order for me to, I guess, attract more of this money, I need to be of service. And the service needs to be something that is wanted, that is desired, that is valued by society. And it's, there's, and that goes along with people who want to, they have a passion, whether it's for music or writing or art or whatever. And then perhaps this passion can support me. I can be of service and provide this art. And then so many of us, we undergo that journey, and then all of a sudden that passion goes wanting, because we're not doing it for the sake of doing it anymore. We're doing it because we need to be supported. So that's a big piece. I think a lot of us, perhaps us three, and a lot of people in our extended community, have had a process with, people that kind of fall out. I guess I fall outside of the traditional like 9 to 5 cubicle jobs, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I've always approached that as there's nothing wrong with it as long as you approach it as a means to an end. Like if I'm doing this thing in order to acquire this money so that I can then serve my passion, that to me always felt a better way to go about it, as opposed to trying to make money through my passion. I'm happy to, I was happy back in the day to flip burgers or to stack boxes at a warehouse or whatever, as long as that freed me up and allowed me, the financial support so that I can then do this other thing that I wanted, so that I didn't have to do this thing that I wanted to support myself and then lose the passion for that thing. I've kind of done that a couple times, but for me, I've gotten to the point now where I'm able to look at the jobby job as a means to an end, so that I can kind of be happy in this other realm of my life.
Yeah, I absolutely relate to that because I went through that as well and got to have direct experience with making my passion my profession, and then getting to a certain point that I was starting to feel burnt out by it. And it actually became sort of vampiric because, I had to do the thing in order to survive, right? And so I was needing my clients to fill something for me rather than me giving something to my clients. And so I'm really grateful for those moments. I'll give an example. I was a clothing designer for many years, and I was enjoying it. I was traveling the world, going to festivals and, doing custom projects and having so much fun. And that became my main source of income for some time. And there was a very specific moment where I was in my sewing room and I was kind of like going through some of my inventory, and I noticed my heart just droop. It was just feeling like, oh, this sort of like just low sadness. And I was counting like, okay, I need to make this many pieces in order to make this much money. So how am I going to sell this many pieces? I need to get some more customs. I was like kind of grasping for something out there rather than just allowing the creativity to just burst forth from my being like it had in the past. And I saw that moment I needed to make a change. I needed to shift. I needed more balance. And thankfully, I have another passion that is with body work and healing work. And so I got to shift gears and I started to do more body work and healing work at the time, started to balance some things out. And then I stopped the clothing. And then sure enough, it happened again when I made massage and healing work my main source of income. I got to a point again that was like, wow, I am, and this was also kind of going back on what I shared around the making just enough. This was some years ago around like, okay, I have to have this many clients in order to be able to make my rent, in order to do the, budgeting for what my lifestyle is. And I saw it loud and it was just so bright. And I was like, no, this is not the way. This is not how I want to serve. And so I have been really getting to find different ways to be able to express my love for the healing work that I do, for the artistry that I offer, for developing new products. With the Power Affirmation Journal is a big part of that too. It's new expressions and also holding that vision for more balanced a flow of my offering. So that way it's not just reliant upon one to be able to help me to live the life that I want to live.
Mm-hmm. That was really well said. I mean, a lot of one of the most frequent questions or requests I have from people that are seeking guidance is, how do I make a living doing what I love? How do I love making these wire wrap jewelry. How do I want to do that for a living? And I always caution people not to, certainly for the reasons that you're talking about, Betsy, which is, it is very difficult to listen to the muse and your landlord at the same time.
I love that. Can you say that again?
It's difficult to listen to the landlord and the muse at the same time. If your creative expression is what is also paying your bills, then you get distorted. And like let's say you're a painter, you go to a street art thing and you've got your wares out and the person next to you is selling tons of landscapes and you're looking at your, abstracts and they're just not selling. Like, fuck, if I do a few landscapes, I could really get some money in and this wouldn't be such a stressful month. Boom, you are now out of the flow. I think Quincy Jones had a quote like, when money enters the room, God leaves. So it's it's a really challenging place, because I always used to use like the Beastie Boys as my dream example. Like, get to a place where whatever you create, there's people that are just will want to buy whatever you make. But that's the dream. The other, until you are the Beastie Boys, find a balance so that you can have the freedom to create without any care what the landlord thinks. And I think that's the dream.
Yeah. Well, I think you've touched on something that I think is valuable for some people, a lot of people. It may not apply to everybody, but there's something to be said for creating your own brand, and then people are coming to you because of you, not necessarily what you're doing. And then because johnstin.com, or that means a lot of things. It means Hug Nation, it means gratitude, it means First Saturdays, it means a lot of different things. So you got a lot of energy coming to you from different directions, but it's all coming to you because you're, I don't mean this in a cynical way, but like you're the product, like you're the draw. And I think what Betsy and I have done differently is that Betsy's done a little bit of what you've done, but you also have with the Power Affirmations, that is a template that people can apply to a lot of different ways. So you have a lot of different energy coming to you from a lot of different areas who are using this template to build their dreams, to build what they want. That is a constant flow of like energy and support and motivation coming to you. I would imagine that's been keeping you inspired. Like I don't see you coming to a heart dropping place with that. It's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to put more gratitude books out there. It's like, no, it's just constant, because it's so much good mojo and energy that people are using to build their own dreams and their own lives. That's got to be, I got to imagine that is a constantly fulfilling kind of thing. It's going to support you for a long time. And personally with my business, having a product that's helping a lot of different people with things like focus and memory and attention and dealing with symptoms of ADHD, PTSD, as it turns out, like dementia and Alzheimer's and MS, and it's anything neurological. Like I'm hearing the feedback I'm getting is fantastic. That inspires me to get up there and keep making capsules and keep putting energy into it, because so many different people from so many different walks of life are using it to support them. And so for me to be in support of this massive population keeps me going. My heart is not going to droop in that place anytime soon. And so that I think these are two valuable ways to approach the whole thing about, okay, how can I be supported, or how can I support myself in this life by supporting other people with my passion? When, Halcyon is the draw, get a lot of good mojo there. We're building templates that a lot of people can come in. So these are two different ways to approach the same thing. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
Yes, absolutely. Sparks are flying. Yes, I feel so many things coming up for me around this. One is that what you said around being allowing our unique gifts to be expressed and always changing and finding different ways to be able to share what our passion is in the world in a way that can be supportive to our lifestyle, right? And so the question that I like to ask myself on a regular basis is, how can I share my unique gifts with the world today in a way that is prosperous, that is impactful, that is fun, that is joyful, that is sustainable? How can I share my unique gifts, or how can I serve humanity in a way that is prosperous, impactful, joyful, fun, playful, inspiring, sustainable? Right? And just staying open to what, every day brings. And sometimes that might be a really profound 3-day retreat that I lead for somebody that is like deep transformation and also prosperously rewarding me, and that's so fulfilling. And sometimes it might be another way to be able to show up and help somebody, put on an event, maybe that's volunteering. There's a lot of different ways to be able to express our unique gifts in the world. And so that is a question, is like an affirmation, right? It's not a statement, but it is more of a curiosity. And then the affirmation statement of it would be, I am sharing my gifts with the world in a way that is prosperous. And then affirming and confirming when money comes in, right? If somebody gives you a check or a client comes in, celebrating it from that place of affirming, yes, like my affirmations are true, vibing it even higher, right? It's like, okay, that is a message to the universe that, yes, it's true. And then we get more of it, right? And so that's like a really powerful practice to be in, to celebrate, oh, I'm sharing my gifts with the world in a way that's prosperous.
I love that.
Certainly.
And I think there's also like these are beautiful examples in your kind of entrepreneurial path, but I think it's also something that if you're in an office, that mentality is still really helpful. I think people often fall into the thought process of like, what's hole do I need to fill in this organization? Like what is the job description that I need to be? And the success that I've had, and I've seen a lot of people have, is when you bring your fullness and get in a situation where like these are the ways that I can really bring value to this project, to the company. And a manager with any like real vision is going to say, let's harness this uniqueness. Ideally, you want someone to create a job position for you. They want people to see who you are and go, you know what? Yes, we do need a chief wisdom officer. Oh, we do need someone to do that. Or let's try you, like, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're chasing your passion. When you're working for a company, you're working for money often. So if you can convince someone that you will harness my passion if you let me do this, this, and this, that is the route to kind of get a little bit of that, muse energy into your regular job.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel it's on that note, it's important to take note of, like, if you've got your goals, and we should all have our goals, we should all be aware of what our goals are. And okay, so how do we go about making that? It's important to make sure that you are doing something that is going to help you achieve your goals. It's super easy to get kind of caught up in that whole rat race. Before, like, I back in my my fitness training days, I got myself this I wanted a fancy car, so I got a fancy car. The problem very quickly turned out to be that the only place I could really afford to drive the car was to work, because I had to pay for this car, which was the only thing I could, only place I could drive was to work, because I had to go to work to pay for this car, and I could only drive that car to go to work because I had to pay for this car. It's like this constant feedback loop. Like, wow, this is what did I do to myself? I just kind of locked myself into this, hamster wheel. And it's important to kind of look around and be like, okay, so where am I at, and where do I want to be? Like, a lot of times, if I'm content with, like, say renting a room in a house, or if I'm content renting an apartment, then I'm not going to necessarily need $200,000 a year. So that opens up my possibilities for what I'm looking to do in life for money. However, if my goal is like, okay, I want to own my own house, or I want to own land, or I want to buy an island, or whatever, it's like, okay, that's going to narrow what I'm going to be focusing on doing here. So it's important to make sure our actions are aligned with our dreams, which is, you think would it be easier? Oh yeah, I can do that. That's easier said than done. It is not easier said than done. It's super easy to fall into that hamster wheel where you're like, you've got big dreams, but your actions are not aligned with that. You're not doing the thing that's going to bring those dreams to you. So it's important to really kind of sit down and identify what your goals are, what sparks you, what gets you motivated, what gets you fired up to get out of bed. And now, okay, what do I need to do to get there? This is an important process for all of us when it comes to, what we're going to do for money in this world.
Yeah, I love that. And it also is really powerful to reflect on what are the beliefs that are in there about money, right? If we are clarifying the goals, but we don't know what the beliefs are, about money or about our relationship to abundance or work or prosperity, then they're going to express themselves subconsciously, kind of like what you were sharing around this like deep thing around like, if money comes in, then I have to get rid of it right away. So if you're setting a goal and you're still holding that belief system in a deep subconscious, unconscious way, then it's going to be very difficult to reach that goal, right? And so even just checking in, what are the beliefs that I hold about money? Where are my where are the things that I need to shift in order to be able to reach this next level of my prosperity thinking, my prosperity in my bank account? Is there any blocks getting in the way of me really living the life that I want to live, or any blocks that might be there to reach my goals, right? How can I make those internal shifts so that way I can watch the outer world shift around me? So that awareness piece, right? And doing it in a way that feels really good, right? Because like we said, we had help with plant medicine, but also there's so many other ways to be able to go deeper inside oneself, whether it's through therapy or EMDR or meditations or journaling, and so many different ways to uncover what's underneath the surface. And I think that that can be such a catalyst to evolution.
Yeah, and there's so many books available. There's so many online courses, YouTube videos. There's free information out there to help you kind of get your mind around that. And what you're speaking to, Betsy, is it's important. It is step one in this whole process. Like, we have to identify what is our mindset, address that, do that deep dive, and that's where all the work. That's where all the other stuff flows from. But you gotta figure yourself out on this. And around this topic first before embarking on any other parts.
And along, while you're doing this deep digging, I think it's important to look into your dreams and figure out where they're coming from and what is it you really want from those dreams. Because, do you want a big house, or do you want a feeling of safety and freedom and a place that you can host your friends? Do you want what is it that you really want? And is this something that deep down would impress your dad? And sometimes we can get caught in chasing something that isn't really what we want. And you got to be aware that whether you like it or not, you are being bombarded by marketing constantly. And so at some level, you want things that somebody else is convincing you to want. And you are dissatisfied with aspects of your life because there are these pressures. And I think that, when you're like going through that process of inquiry, like, wait, do I really need this? Do I really want this? Is can be really freeing, because as you said, Janus, you can get caught in a place where you are working to try to maintain this quest for, the carrot that you're going to keep charging for. And in my life, I almost every time I had an opportunity to have like more freedom or more money, I chose more freedom. I recognize, like, what would I spend my money on? It would be more time, or more creative freedom. And so for a long time, that led to poverty level living. And then it led to, a focus in an area where I had some more, marketable and unique skills and talents. But even so, that process of introspection can help you figure out, well, what do I really want? What would I buy with the money? Freedom. So it's not always the easy answer.
Good
Sure.
inquiries to be with. And, I feel like this is a very deep conversation. There's so many layers that we can keep unpacking. I know personally, I have even more stories to share around some of the big breakthroughs that I've had in regards to this conversation of seeing the thought patterns, belief systems, programs, and then implementing new ones to be able to live a more prosperous lifestyle. And so I'd love to maybe bookmark this and see if we can carry on this conversation into another episode, and also spark you listeners out there. If you have any thoughts or comments or inspirations, please send us a message. We love hearing from you guys, because there's so much to unpack here. So perhaps we can start to shift it into some closing sparks.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, for me, my kind of takeaway from this conversation is, the idea of, and it goes to addressing, your beliefs, but also your dreams. I think a lot of us have had dreams for ourselves that were awesome and valid when we had them, but we are constantly evolving, we are constantly growing. And I've definitely caught myself a couple times in life chasing after a dream that was no longer mine, that was no longer actually my dream. It was like I was kind of trying to do this thing that I really wanted to do, like 10 years ago. And I remember the feeling of really wanting that. And so, yes, I'm still going to be pursuing that, but I'm a completely different person now, still going after the same dream and wondering why I'm unhappy. So I think a lot of us can find ourselves in that position and be like, okay, so kind of check in with your dreams and be like, okay, so are these still mine? Is this something I still want? Because we do so many things out of habit, and that can include work. That can include, like, staying at a job. So check in with yourself, find out, where do you stand in relation to your dreams? And if you're able to make a shift, make a shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll share mine in regards to that too. Is I feel like the biggest spark and takeaway from this conversation is really getting in touch with what are the belief systems that I have been given around money, what has been modeled to me. I feel like the deeper we can go into that, the more we can see around what works for us and what doesn't. Because not, some belief systems that our parents gave to us are going to be incredibly supportive, so powerful to help us live in a abundant and prosperous life, and some maybe not, maybe the opposite, like you said, Halcyon, is like maybe there's some belief in there that our parents or grandparents or elders held around money being evil. To be able to cultivate awareness around what are those belief systems, and do I want to continue to put energy into those, or do I want to shift them?
Yeah, that's so huge. And I'm as we're talking, I'm realizing that there's some deep money attitudes I'm still working through. Occasionally I will see somebody succeeding, and I will have a little bit of like resentment and judgment towards them. And I'll be like, wait a minute, if I'm not celebrating this person finding abundance, you know, how could I expect to reach that same type of abundance? Like I'm projecting all of this judgment, and in doing so, I'm blocking myself from getting that same, success. So I guess my spark is this ongoing process of inquiry in our beliefs, and just whether you can always just keep opening to finding deeper ways to make it an easeful flow towards abundance.
This sounds like part one of a 4-part conversation.
Yeah.
that we were going to have. So yeah, people stay tuned. We may very well be doing a deep dive into this coming up soon. So
I love talking about money.
Yeah.
Money.
Money.
So much. It's a big part of our world.
If people have a lot of money, how can they spend it with you?
That's a great inquiry. Yes, if you would like to pour forth your prosperity into my hands to be in service to you, I would be so grateful to support you. I have many different ways that I get to serve my clients and share with the world. So I am a holistic healing arts practitioner specializing in body work and energy work, doing aerial somatics and sound healing and a variety of modalities, working here in Southern California and also part-time in North Carolina. So reach out to me if you want to get a session. I also do virtual coaching as well, helping people to cultivate life skills for sustainable happiness, and also diving into much of what we talked about today and the reprogramming of our mindset using the Power Affirmation Journal, and a process that is really about inquiring deeper what are our belief systems, and then using specific prompts to be able to shift and change and grow through these belief systems that we're ready to change. So you can find me on poweraffirmation.com, where you can find the journal as well as some of the groups that I lead. And then also you can find me on Insight Timer. This is a meditation app where I have lots of wonderful audio affirmations, even one about prosperity, really using some of the affirmations from Napoleon Hill and Paramahansa Yogananda, and all kinds of good stuff. So check it out in the show notes.
Fantastic. So I am available for prosperity via my business, which is NuWorld Nutritionals, spelled NuWorld Nutritionals, soon to be changing our name, by the way, to Red Moon Organics. So got a whole rebrand happening soon. Right. But yeah, right now you can find us at NuWorld Nutritionals. We have several mushroom-based products that are designed to help alleviate symptoms of things like ADD, ADHD, PTSD, helps with improving focus, memory, and other types of learning. And you can use the code SPARKED for 10% off of all of our products. We are located at, or it can be found at newworldnutritionals.com.
Awesome. That's an area that I happily spend money on, is at newworldnutritionals.com. It's I want more of that in the world. I am a proud customer, as well as from Betsy's Bodywork. So I wanted to share a couple things. One, I have and they're all available at johnstin.com, but I have a t-shirt store at lovemorefearless.com. And I urge you to look at the marketing copy that I made there, because I think it touches on some of the things that we're talking about today, kind of saying like, you don't need these shirts. However, blah, 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 blah. And the other thing I wanted to share was I do gratitude circles twice a day. And the quickest way to find yourself in a place of abundance is to appreciate what you have. So I urge you to have a gratitude practice or join me for gratitude at one of the times that I do it each day at johnstin.com, JOHNSTYN.
Boom.
Amazing. Well, that sparks an affirmation. So in Stay Sparked tradition, love to close us out with an affirmation. All right, so taking a nice deep breath, and if it feels good to you to get into the embodiment of it, I urge you to put your arms up over your head, making a chalice, a vessel to receive. I am open to receive unexpected money, unexpected good, unexpected resources from unexpected places and unexpected times from unexpected people. I am open to receive unexpected money, unexpected prosperity, unexpected success at unexpected times, from unexpected places, from unexpected people. I am worthy and open to receive. I am open to receive. I am open to receive. Money is flowing to me easily and through me. I love money, and money loves me. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening out there.
Stay spark, people.